Hey y'all, what's up? It's been a while. I'm so glad you could join us today. Kamilah Bywaters, I'm running for the Board of School Trustees in District E. Y'all, it is tough out here. Let me tell you, I have so much I want to update. I think last week there was an event that I attended. So it's like whenever we take a break, there's so much that happens in education. It's like off the chain. I need to send my little post really quick to make sure everyone gets this that needs it. Let me post this on my campaign page really quick because y'all know I have not figured out how to get this, um, how to really transfer the live to my candidate page. So I'm on the struggle bus. So let me tag this really quick to my campaign page so people could see the link. But I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend, a great, what's today? I don't even know what today is. A great Tuesday. We are getting close to election time, y'all, and it's getting real hot and heavy out here. I think there's shots fired towards me, but it's okay. It's okay. Because I got some things I want to break down today and talk about um, the role of a school board candidate. So let me post this really quick so I can get back focused. To all our friends who are joined today, thank you to the general for being on with us in the Zoom. Thank you to Shaquilla for being on in the Zoom. And I just want to tell you both that I appreciate your support and everything that you're doing to support and help my campaign. It really means a lot to me when you all are able to show up, on Facebook Live. Let me press mute on this really quick so we don't get the feedback. Okay, pause. All right. And thank you for you all have been like showing up to the candidate forum. So that really means a lot when there's support in the audience. Just really quick, I want to let everyone know I've been endorsed by some new organizations and I'm so excited. I really am. So I just want to do the rundown really quick. I've been endorsed by Plan Action, Nevada Now PAC, the United Brotherhood of Carpenters Local 1977, Hispanics in Politics, Southern Nevada Central Labor Council, AFL-CIO. I've been endorsed by the new organizations now, Planned Parenthood Votes Nevada, Veterans in Politics, and Make the Road Action Nevada. I've had some more interviews that I've been a part of, so I'm waiting to find out the results of those interviews. But listen, these organizations right here, they know what's up. These organizations right here are actually ready for real change. If you have followed my advocacy, you know that I am true to this work. Like I've given so much of my time and energy to advocating on behalf of students and their families, teachers, administrators, and support staff. Like it really is a joy for me to be a part of this work and to, do this work. This is my ministry. This is what I do. And I know there's some people out there like, ooh, I have FaceTime with teachers. Well, guess what? I do too. I have FaceTime with students I'm in. Well, guess what? I do too. And you know what? There's this interesting concept that's been coming up in some of the meetings about if basically around if an advocate would be a good person on a board. I'm absolutely confused by that because for me, what's important, like when I look for people who want to represent me, I want to know if you have the ability to recommend policy or an idea. And then do you have the ability to influence people to believe the way that you do or to persuade people? That's what advocacy is. I'm very weary of voting for anyone that I have not seen speak up for me, period. And if you see my track record, you know that I have spoken up for our community numerous times, and I continue to do that. I'm on the phone. Not everyone is willing to do that. Like it's nerve-wracking to go up against the status quo. It's nerve-wracking to tell people in power, like, hey, you may not be seeing that the best way. Hey, you may need to consider other voices or ideas in your decision making. Not only is it nerve-wracking, it's nerve-wracking because you may experience retaliation. No one may listen to you. You may get rejected. And because of those things, in my opinion, I feel that's why we don't see people do that often, because it's a fearful task. So in District E, I believe that I am the best candidate because I am a teacher who has FaceTime with students. Not only have I worked in the Clark County School District, I've also worked in DC Public Schools. I also work in higher education. I prepare special education teachers for the field. I'm working on my and almost completing my PhD in special education. I'm hoping to be done with that in the fall. My advisor is going to be like, this girl. But hey, we getting in there doing some edits when I can get to it. So, and another thing that's important for people to understand is that being a school board member is not only about having experience in a classroom. That is very important, in my opinion. I think, classroom teachers bring a beautiful perspective that, people who haven't been in the classroom are able to bring. But another thing that school board members need to be able to do, they need to be able to inform and shape policy. They need to be able to determine inclusive practices. They need to be able to understand how the budget works. They need to be able to work with the legislature, work with and collaborate with our elected officials. I've done that, and I continue to do that. I've done education town halls with Congresswoman Susie Lee. I've done education town halls with Commissioner McCurdy. I've done education town halls with, who else are we doing with our community. So that's where I stand out above my opponents. Many of them are not engaged in education in the way that I am. And what I'm noticing is that some of our community organizations and leaders, they're not ready for change. They want people they can control. And that's been obvious as I've been looking and watching and seeing the endorsements come across and who's getting endorsed by what organizations. Some of them want to control people. I am a person who is for the people. My objective, like a priority for me, is bringing the voice of our people back to the center of conversations on public education. And we are missing that right now because of the two leaders that are leading the board. This is why advocacy is so important. Because if you're an individual who gets an email from the president of the board who says, hey, don't engage with your community, how are you going to respond to that? Are you going to just let the president of the board tell you what to do and how to work with your constituents? Or are you just going to, go with the flow? Heck, some of y'all, we won't know because we've never seen you in action. You haven't given us a reason to trust why you would be the candidate that we could trust when the doors are closed. And this, for me, is not about what's happening, not about only the opponents in District E. I really want us as a community, as a people, as voters, to change the way our ethic and our philosophy around choosing people who we believe will serve us. Because every time we're constantly upset and mad because we didn't vet the candidates, or we vetted them and then we didn't participate by voting. So that's some things I wanted to get off of my chest to understand, to help our community to understand that the role of the school board members, and I'm running in District E, which is Summerlin. I do go down to Decatur and Sahara all the way towards the 95. I do go out to, Hualapai and Spring Mountain, and then all the way Fort Apache towards past Sunset. So I have a pretty big area out towards Blue Diamond. And I've proven to our community that I'm a person who values what you have to say and honors what you have to say and will be willing to go to bat for the initiatives and ideas that you have. It's also important for me that we increase student achievement. I don't think it's fair or logical to say, hey, we're going to see 90% improvement in a year. No, I'm looking for small gains. I'm looking for leaders within the school district who can move us up the ladder little by little and help us to achieve the goals that we have. Um, Another thing that one of my objectives is definitely the culture and the climate. The culture and the climate of our district has been absolutely horrible. It's like it's retaliation. Ooh, I didn't get what I want. So what does Superintendent Jara do before he leaves? He gives the people who are already paid six figures more money. Like that right there is an example of retaliation. And that is stuff that we experience in our district. And we need school board members. We need a majority vote of school board members who are willing to fight against that madness. That's madness. On the way out, and that actually gets into our topic of what's happening in Clark County School District. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say this, and some of us may be hopeful romantics, but every candidate is not ready for that life. They haven't shown us that life. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that's also important for me as a candidate is, and really why I want us to shift and shake like who the people we pick is like, what did you show us that you did before you step into the position? Like people really want us to vote for them and they just popped out of nowhere. Now, I'm not saying that there's not diamonds in the rough, because I do believe that diamonds in the rough exist. And if anyone wants to uh chime in, please do. Oh my goodness. So let me say our friends on Facebook Live. Tim, thank you so much. And Tim said, we need you for District E. Thank you so much, Tim. And teachers are downtrodden here, right? Tamika Henry running for the school board District C, all the money. And she said, make it rain. So listen, what you get from me is what you see. Please know that I am here to bring I really want to bring that collaboration back and bring our community back to the center. This is we all pay for public education. And the two leaders of the school board, Lola and Trustee Evelyn, have really done us a disservice. It is so much so, listen, y'all, candidates are out here, and when they become elected officials, they have made the job so hard for candidates, for good people who want to run. When I'm in interviews, they don't be believing nothing we got to say. They don't believe us. They're like, Kamilah, we've heard this before. And I'm like, I shake my head. And then what I offer is I say, listen, what I can offer you is my resume, and you can trust based off of the works that I've presented that I'm going to be different. It's hard out here. Like people really have lost hope in our elected officials because they say one thing and then once they get elected, they do another thing. And that's why I'm saying, like, as a community of voters, at a core basic level value, we got to see people out here already doing the work before they step into the positions that they say that they can lead us in. Period. Because if I haven't seen you advocate for me at a school board meeting, why should I trust that you're going to advocate for me on the dais? That's just me. That's where I'm at. And I know it has been a core value of me. And this is what I've been saying in my interviews. It's been a core value for me to present you right here, my work, what I've been able to accomplish on the outside, on the other side of the dais. And then you take what you want to do with it. But I've already been here for you. I collaborate with organizations to do different events. I've been able to have meetings with the Nevada Department of Education, with the United States Department of Education, with the EEOC, and there's other organizations that I'm building collaborations with. But that just shows you the spirit of my willingness and desire to bring our community together. So is anybody we have Laura Perkins in, Shaquilla, the general. Did you all want to say something? Because I'm like on a preach moment and seeing Tim's out there.
Just gonna say amen, amen, sister, amen.
Absolutely.
Tim said amen.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to also say there's some other things that are happening. We have plenty of time here. So happy Teacher Appreciation Month. And you know what? I've been so sad because I've been looking at like the social media and the teachers are like, look, if you're in a job where they're appreciating you, please know that your job is at the bottom. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. I was feeling so bad. Teachers, even during a Teacher Appreciation Week, don't feel appreciated. And especially here in this Clark County School District, it's been off the chain. Like I really, another thing, we can't even say happy appreciation to the teachers because we just done so wrong to our teachers. But from the bottom of my heart, from one teacher to another, from one special educator to another, I appreciate you. The people that I build community with, we appreciate you. We're always advocating on your behalf. And I'm hoping that we can just together move mountains and fight to move mountains to do better by you. And I believe we can do it. I do think it will take time. You know, we've taken decades to get ourselves in a mess. So I think it will take time. But happy Teacher Appreciation Week. And I hope that you are celebrated and you just feel celebrated, not only this week, but every day. So some updates that I have, or some things I have coming up, I will be on the Talitha Kume podcast on Friday. I'll make sure that I post all the flyers on my page. That starts at 7:30 p.m. and it will be hosted live on YouTube. So I'll be going to her podcast. I'm really excited to have a conversation. I'm also doing phone banking. Y'all, it is crunch time. May 25th is early voting. It is crunch time. I'm talking like from now until voting, I'm out there. It's going to be like 3 to 4 days a week. Like everyday phone banking, at least maybe 3 to 4 times a week of knocking doors. If you can schedule a day to go, oh, thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. Tim said that he's talking me up in their neighborhood. I really appreciate that. If you can go out with me and knock doors, listen, I'll do it on your time. Just schedule it. Let me know what days you have and we can go out and knock doors. If you can phone bank, that's a little easier for people who aren't able to walk around long times, and it's getting hot too. So if you can phone bank, that will be great too. So schedule from here all the way on, it's go time. I will actually be leaving. I'm taking students from UNLV to Chile for their teaching global experience. So I'm going to be gone June 1st. That really makes me nervous. But while I'm gone, I'm going to just be hitting up. I'll make sure I can get everyone together to help me to phone bank. And for those who can walk doors for me, that would be awesome. I just received an award from the National Action Network, Mothers in the Movement. You know, really excited for that. If you've been following my work, I've been a part of LAVAPSI and restarting that in 2010. And then I stopped and went back to school to educate myself and then came back and started it with Tracy. So really, it's really been just a lot of work and time and energy spent in understanding education. And this is also something that sets me apart from the candidates that are running in District E, because I attend school board meetings like it's my second job, and I'm able to engage with students and their families, teachers, administrators, and support staff. I get another perspective, and I really get to hear some of the challenges that are happening on the ground. And that's why I have the perspective that I have on education, because I'm involved. Not only as a teacher, but as a community advocate and activist, and as a person who's constantly listening to our leaders and to our educational stakeholders and listening to students. I have a perspective that is beyond many of the perspectives that individuals have. And I was looking at a Facebook post earlier, and someone was like, how come the candidates aren't talking about the Council for Great City Schools? I was like, well, I talk about that along with Anna Binder. Who else talks about that? And of course, former trustee Danielle Ford, she talks about it, obviously, because she was on the board and she's running for the state board. But when you're asking a question, and I don't want to make this an absolute statement, but some candidates can't talk about what they don't know about. And if you haven't been a part of the experience, they can't give you what they don't have. That's why I'm able to talk about the Council of Great City Schools, because I've been a part of understanding what's been happening from an educational point. Now, they probably watching the YouTube, taking notes, like, taking notes, like, let her speak first, then I'll go after her kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. We've seen some of that well, we see that every candidate forum.
Have you seen
And
that?
oh, I've absolutely. The last one we was at when I'm not going to say any names, when he made a joke and said, "Oh, I'll let Camilla go and then I'll take down notes," which is he was joking, but he was serious because after you speak, everybody has so much more knowledge than what they had coming into the doors. So that should tell people right away if they're following the forums or if they're following the Facebook that a lot of these candidates do not have the experience that they are claiming that they have, nor do they have the passion. Because if you had the passion for it, you would have done your homework prior to coming to the forum.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying, I'm like, holding my heart. These people saying what I'm saying. But that's why it's so important that we really vet candidates, like, and engage. And here's another thing that's been blowing my mind. I have consistently attended every interview, endorsement interview, or community meet and greet that I have been invited to. Now, I can't attend nothing that I didn't know about, but anything that I know about, I have been there. It is a cold, cold world when we get to the point where people want us to vote for them and they don't even have the audacity to come out and get asked questions. I'm absolutely, I'm baffled. This is fascinating and like baffling to me that people really want us to vote for them and we haven't even seen them. So
Have you
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry for
No, you're
interrupting. Have
good.
you
No, you're
seen
good.
seen any of these candidates as frequently as you have been to the board meetings? Have you seen any of these candidates there in frequency? Have you seen them during public comment, challenge the status quo? Have you seen any of that? Because those board meetings, that's a regular commitment during dinner time when everybody's hungry and they don't allow no food or water in there. You just be there for hours, just hungry and mad.
No, I haven't seen it. Now the Moms for Liberty people, they come out when it's a topic that is interest of them, but I'm not giving them credit because they're mean and rude to people. Like, and I'm doing an interview next week about Moms for Liberty too. But no, I haven't seen them at school board meetings. Not consistently. Like, no, I can't even. Not the people in District E.
So
Um,
when we talk about just people's dedication to the work itself, like you said, with Levapsi being, a legacy organization, one, but two, you coming into the scene prior to any of these people ever knowing about the districts. They do not know the history of the district. They do not know the history of our communities, but they are talking as if they've been here for years and decades, which we need to call them out because you're doing the community a disservice when you're being untruthful about the consistency and or the depth in which you are involved with this education with the board. So we have to, like you said, we have to do our research on these candidates. Just because someone speaks well, and some of these candidates don't even speak well.
yeah,
Okay, some of them need to take public speaking courses. I'm not going to say any names, but just because a person speaks well doesn't mean they mean well. And so we have to be careful about people who have the gift of gab and have a nice smile who's luring us into false sense of security. We have to really do the research. And we have the internet, people. So that means use it to the best of your ability, and ask questions about the people who's running in your district and know what district you're in and what areas that cover, because that's going to help you as well.
yeah. And that's a really good point, Shaquilla. That point of speaking well, because I believe that I speak well. I have a master's in divinity, so I've taken homiletics and I've taken preaching courses. So I have an ability to speak well. And because of that, you need to make sure that you vet and know who the heck I am. Hi, Shaquilla. Jasiri said hello.
Hi.
Um, And you're right, because I've heard people really, they speak very well. They know how to engage a room. And it's like, we can't only be moved by that. We need to be moved by your actions and your works, your history, your resume. We need to be moved by the whole package. And that's really like one thing that I'm absolutely really passionate about this. Like, if you haven't given me a reason to trust you, if I haven't seen you advocate for me or be able to uh bump up against the status quo, or go against what's popular, I'm not voting for you. I'm
I
not.
think I agree. I think what you're saying is that you have to be genuine. You don't have to, like, because the person that held this seat prior to me, they were very flowery with their words, but then at the end of the day, um, some people can say all these flowery words, but then there's nothing to them. Like, just like you were saying, there's no substance. It's just flowery words. Like you said, they speak really well, but they're not producing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I do want to reiterate again that I do believe that there are diamonds in the rough. I really do. And I would rather take a good person who's like, "Hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm good. I'm good for the people." Then we could work with somebody like that, right? As long as they're honest and not trying to pretend that they know everything. Like, everything that I share and know about education is because of my experience, because of my research, and because of being really engaged. And yeah, go ahead, eat it. And being involved. And like I said, people can't give you what they don't know. There's topics that aren't coming up because the people who are running don't know. They don't know the topics. They're not engaged in education in the way that we are. And this is why I think it's so important, especially for, District E. We have an opportunity to make history, and we have an opportunity to flip the whole makeup of our board. And we really have to pay attention and be careful that we're choosing people that we can trust, that we know, and that you've seen putting in work. That's really important to me, because we could find ourselves in another cycle of madness. Another cycle of madness. And we really need strong people in position who are willing to disrupt. Like, that's the word right now. We have to disrupt. And I know that some people take it back to that word, but and they're taking it back to advocacy. I'm I'm like falling out of the car, because I'm just like, wow, really? But anywho, the next thing I wanted to say, that I think I said all that. Oh, I wanted to talk.
Camilla,
Yeah.
before you go to that, can you touch a little bit on the recent raises that
Mhm.
um was given to the cabinet members? The Review Journal has had this up since the 1st of May. Um, and I just wanted a little bit clarification, because they said it was 40% increase to the chief of police, and that his base salary is $68,000. So is that 40% of $68,000, or is that like what he's making now? I wanna, if you have a rundown of these people's salary, because they had CCEA locked in back and forth for about 6 months.
Mhm.
And then we still came out with a contract that some of us agreed with, some of us did not agree with. But for this to come out and then it being retroactive from this year to July of last year is just an affront and a slap in the face. So if you know anything about like their salaries, if you could share that with us, and how it didn't need to be approved by the board of trustees, and how they didn't know, that's also very confusing.
Yeah, so this is now we're getting into what the topic was supposed to be about today. It's what's happening in education. And that was one of the topics. So it was a Superintendent Jara. When he left the district, he did one of those retaliation moves again. Which this is the second time, because he did the same thing when they did the fire. What was that? When they fired him and then brought him back, he did that
That's
again.
what they did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, so you're talking about which one for so they have it posted on, let me go back here. You're saying for 40% for the chief of police?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was specifically for him because they break it down that Brenda Larson Mitchell got a 28% increase, Chief Black Eye got a 40% increase. So Chief Black Eye got a $68,000 increase, according to this article.
So it's $68,000 on top of what he makes.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. And then they have a little picture here. Let me see what that is.
I'm like, who gets that type of raise? Who gets a
Yeah.
40% raise? I
That's
mean, oh my
crazy.
God.
I know.
And
I'm
well, that's partially what's
Sixty-eight
wrong with
thousand dollars.
when
yeah.
when he resigned, they should have taken all his rights away right then and there. I mean,
Wow.
who lets their resigns and still has the ability to do that? Once you resign, they usually take all the keys to the kingdom at that point. But they left him with those keys and he was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's see who the other people are. According to the article, Brenda Larson Mitchell got $60,000 extra. Chief Financial Officer Jason Gowdy got 51,000 extra. Yep. And is there somebody else in here? Yeah, so that's really wow.
And it says the raises for most at-will cabinet members were approved in January of this year, went into effect March of this year, and were retroactive to July 1st of 2023.
Oh my God.
So that's retroactive pay on top of whatever else they're getting.
That's outrageous.
Wow. That was our parting gift from Jara. So, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. You know, this is where you absolutely have to be on this board as an advocate. And if you're on a board that's a 4-3 split, in my opinion, I understand like there's different views, because if you have a 4-3 split and the 4 majority are pretty much just like approving and going along with the madness, you're in the 3, you're in the minority vote. And what we need to see is we need to see disruption. You may not be able to change everything because we know that you don't have the majority vote, but the community needs to be fully aware of what's going on. But what's been happening on our board is that typically the 3 and the minority vote haven't been made aware of what's going on. And that's a board issue that the board has to regain their power back and reinstitute, review, revise, and update policy, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe you can speak to that a little bit, Regent Perkins, about a split board or, how that type of experience.
That's what I live. I experienced that when I was on planning commission. I experienced it more recently on the as a regent. It seems like there's 2 or 3, maybe 4 out of the 13 that vote consistently, and it's not for it's vote consistently together. And I don't know whether the others don't know enough or they like you said, they want change. They say they want change, but they really don't want change. Um, it's very comfortable to be in the majority, and it's it's very uncomfortable to be in the minority and always fighting. So that, yes, absolutely. Um, yes, and we're giving away our power right now. So we might end up doing exactly what the school board is going through now: the fussing, the fighting, the in public screeching at each other, and we might be devolving into that just because there's not everybody thinks they're right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's always a middle ground. There's always, you're not going to win all the time. That's just not humanly possible unless you're Jesus. You don't know everything. So there has to be compromise. And a lot of people think if you don't agree with them, you hate them, or you don't
Right.
agree with them, you should be silenced, or if you don't agree with them, you're wrong. And that's not always the case. But yeah, you're right. You need to take your power back. You need to slowly but surely change the reports that you get. For example, how can you be a fiduciary and you don't get financial reports unless the superintendent tells you you want them? That's that's the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, community. We have an opportunity to totally shift the makeup of the board and really go in a new direction. We really do. Like, we cannot drop the ball. We cannot drop the ball on this. And I'm trying to hold my words here because these people made me mad. So, I'm gonna consult first before I say what I'm gonna say. And yeah, so that right there, the board just really has to do, because this is, again, like I said, this is the second time that Jara did this, has kind of done like a retaliation. Well, I'm gonna give raises then, which, is really a slap in the face to teachers and support staff who are really on the ground working hard every day to really, because my thing is this: if you're making six figures, we absolutely need to see results from you. Absolutely. There should be no problem. Where's the results? If you can't bring the results with this salary, you're not the person for the job. Period. It's not right and it's not fair. Absolutely not fair, not right. When we have teachers, I'm not maybe still teachers who are having second, two, and three other jobs and weekend jobs to make ends meet, and they're driving Uber and Lyft. Like, it's absolutely not fair. So then, I really want to hear y'all's opinion on this. The substitute that got in a fight.
Girl. Well, on one side, I was like, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be consequences for the things you say. But then I'm like, this is a grown man. And, you know, goodness gracious, goodness gracious. I don't, you know, I know that's probably too honest, but no, an adult adults should not be putting their hands on a child. That's
Oh
that's
no,
the bottom.
I'm gonna have to, no, I'm gonna have to go in on this because
Oh, Lord.
I agree to a certain extent, Ms. Perkins, but we have to look at the precipitating events, right? And all we see is the so-called grown man um, beating on the child. Well, I don't agree with that. What was the event and what is the atmosphere that put him in a position to make him feel like this was okay and this was his last resort, right? So we only see
Yeah.
the consequences. We don't see what's leading up to that. Now, from what has been said, that there were some racial slurs, some racial epithets that was said to this substitute teacher, right? Now, while we have freedom of speech, those words are the same words that would have us hanged, lynched, dragged across roads, left for dead in swamps our bodies never found. So we have to understand the history of these words and how our family and communities are either engaging us in conversations so that we can be more culturally appropriate, so that we can understand the history of Black people in this country. No one should be left without being held accountable for what they did. I'm not saying what he did was right, but I'm not
And
necessarily saying what he did was wrong either.
I hear you. I very well put. Um, yes, I would tend to agree, except we have to, there was other ways to handle that because it is hate speech. So there's other avenues, and I don't know. He's in a position of authority. There's just so many. I mean, there's so many layers to that. You can't say unless you were actually there. I'm agreeing with you. You can't say unless you were actually there and saw the situation from beginning to end. There's no way to say that. But on the other hand, there's so many layers. It's so many facets to that diamond.
Yeah, for sure. I think for
Now,
me,
Camilla,
oh yeah, go ahead, General.
I'm so sorry. It's my understanding a couple of things, and I don't know if these are facts or not. First of all, the young man is 18. He's just still in high school for whatever reason, but he's 18, so he's really no longer a child. He is a young man. Secondly, my understanding that he made a couple of verbal threats about hitting the teacher, um, and he possibly hit the teacher or swung on the teacher before the teacher hit him. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but that's one of the things that I've read. Those are some of the things, I should say, that I've read. And he is a child, a student, I'm sorry, who this is his history, that he eggs on another person. He continues to make threats, insults, racial slurs. He just hasn't, up until this, no one addressed it, which means the school hadn't addressed it.
I can see that. I can truly believe that. Somebody should have addressed it up to now, but still, yeah, I can't. At that point, it's assault. And so you still have other repercussions. I mean, you still have other avenues. Because if you swing on me, it's assault. I'm calling 911, you're going to jail. And I
So
will defend myself.
so
So
we had to look at that too, because when we're working in middle schools and high schools, some of these students are really big. They're strong. And while that has not happened to me, thank God, hope it never happened to me. But some of these children are strong. And when, or if you do not have appropriate support, like the general said, if no one's giving you some kind of information about the student, because he's a substitute. So he may not know the student's history, he may not been aware of this. If you don't have that information, if you don't have that support, we don't know what kind of environment that school is, if it's toxic, if it's, all of those things. We don't know all of those factors. So we're not there from beginning to end. So I agree with you. But, when sometimes when we're working with students, or when we're working with children, the lines do get blurred. But at the end of the day, we are human, right? And so we had to allow each other the grace. Like I said, I'm not saying he's right, but we don't know the precipitating factors that led up to that. And so we do need to hold the school accountable as the first line of defense that was not there, like the general said.
Yeah, and I want to say what Rudy said. Rudy said, "Hey Simone, thank you Simone and Miss Davis and Rudy for joining in." So Rudy also said something that I wanted to. He asked, "Was admin responsive in the situation? We can't place blame on our teachers when admin fails our teachers all the time." And this is something consistent that continues to come up, is that the school leadership, they're not handling, in some instances, like when we get reports and parents call us, they're not handling these instances in a timely manner. And kids are just going rogue. And actually, so that's another thing. And I think everybody's campus is different, but like I would imagine that this student has had some instances before. And for me, I said that he met, what's the young man's name? Jaquan. And I tell students, listen, you can't just say whatever you want to anybody because you're gonna meet Jaquan, all right? And Jaquan not gonna let you talk to him any kind of way. And when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, okay. And we also have to remember that our subs, they're coming in sometimes with little experience in they may just be starting their education and starting in the classroom. And our students are different now. A week prior to this, I had subbed at a school, and when I tell you the whole class was disrespectful to me, the whole class, I didn't do nothing to these kids. They were talking back to me. The one boy called me ignorant. I about fell out. I was like, look, I'm gonna be on the news. And y'all need to come get him immediately. And it was the worst situation I've ever been in my life. Now, listen, I've worked in DC public schools, and DC public schools are tougher than Clark County School District. It was so apparent in this class that I was subbed in that they had no structure throughout the whole year. No, nothing. And then let me tell you the kicker. The whole class pretty much went off on me. And then one girl started talking mess to me when the bell rang. And I'm thinking, why to the end of class? This girl waited to the end of class, the bell rang, said some mess to me, and then ran out. I was floored. And that's when it took me back. I really had to walk back my statements, because typically I'm the person who's on the side of parents, but that day showed me, oh no, Kamilah, we have to get tougher on our parents, because there is no way that a child whose parent is teaching them to respect adults, that they would have considered talking to me and treating me the way that they did. I was thinking, I'm about to be a trustee one day, and these people up in here talking to me all kinds of crazy. I don't know what it was in the water. So when that situation happened with the substitute at Valley, I was like, wow, the students are not. And did you all see in the video, were there any other adults around?
There were no, I didn't see any other adults.
I don't think they were near.
I'm consistently, and I know we have short staff. We do have short staff, but these schools have to tighten up. You gotta tighten up when the kids are out, when the students are out in the hallway, when it's bathroom time, you gotta tighten up. Now, I've been to some schools where there's like no adult presence in the hall and the kids are just running all over. And I've been to schools where there's plenty of adult presence and it's tight. The kids know they're supposed to be in class, they're not in the hallway. They have to tighten up. Like, it is real. Right now, we are all hands on deck. Principals, administrators, y'all can't be in your office. You need to be outside with the kids, because it's really this serious. I went to a school today and they had a police siren. I thought the police was on campus, y'all. They had a police siren bell. I about fell out. I said, help me, Lord.
No.
Yes.
Like the kids are under arrest.
Yeah, because I guess they were starting to fight. And I was like, it's the police on campus?
The police.
And the kids were like, oh no, miss. They were like, no, miss, it's a sound. And I said, well, does it stop them from fighting? They said, sometimes. I said, oh, okay. Excuse me. Okay, so Rudy, let me say what Rudy said real quick. He said, we need to hold admin accountable, and we need to start at the top, starting with Brenda Larson Mitchell, or whoever the superintendent ends up being. We need strong women like Miss Bywaters and Miss Henry in those trustee seats. Thank you, Rudy. Oh, Rudy. And if we are not educating our kids at home, someone on the streets will educate them. It's called, okay, now he just said a cuss word, so I'm not going to say that. But when I grew up, the motto was, beep around and find out. Thank you, Rudy.
I was going to say, don't start none, won't be none.
Won't be nothing, right? But we have a lot of work to do. We really do. And it's so important that the Clark County School District really has to really channel some of that money and some of the funding. Like, for instance, I always use this as an example, but spending like $50+ million on paper tutoring needed to go to a different place to support these students. And Miss Davis said F around and F out. Yes, Rudy Zamora. So the money really needs to be not funneled, but move to a different place. We have to hone in on our students right now. And if we cannot invest in them, ensuring that we have more adults on campus, getting parenting. So what do you all think about this? So I was thinking, I don't remember if this ever was a thing here, but I remember it was a conversation. Like if your child was truant or they didn't go to school, like parents would get fined. So I was thinking, if your child is really acting up in school, parents or guardian, whoever's the guardian over the children, they have to come and get some type of required parenting.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it has to
yes,
be a
yes.
requirement. I don't, what do you think about
1000%,
that, Kamilah?
yes.
Yes, but then you have to consider that maybe the parent has to work, like you said, 2 and 3 jobs just to put food on the table. So how can they get
Oh,
those classes? How can they come to a parenting session when literally they work all day, and
so
then when
we
they're not
got
working, they're
we
sleeping
gotta
to go to
we
their next job.
cannot we can't do this by ourselves, right? So there's no learning taking place if we are still on classroom management, if we are still addressing behaviors, if there are still interruptions in the learning environment, there be no learning taking place. Not
This
only
is
that,
true.
their peers will of course be affected. Now, yes, we have a lot of hardworking parents. We have a lot
Mm,
of dedicated parents. The majority of our parents, I would say, are great parents. However, just because we have those great parents doesn't mean that the students are going to always be a reflection of that. And that means that when the cat's away, the mice will play. Some of our students are just going to continue to have those behaviors unless they're addressed. And they're not going to be addressed with just the school community involved. The families have to be involved. The families have to be held accountable. If we don't have that, then really the students don't have that much consequences. And sometimes those behaviors are going back to the home or coming from the home. So we have to look at where our job stops at whatever time, 3:30 or whatever, they're going back to their homes, right? And then they're coming back the next day with those same behaviors.
do you think
So,
class size has a lot to do with that? Because I mean, my degree is in post-secondary, but I did do a stint in elementary or K through 12. Um, I'm like, hey, I can teach an aardvark to type if I only have 5 aardvarks. But if I have 12 aardvarks or even 15 aardvarks, the only thing I can do is keep them from hurting each other. That's about the only thing I can do with them at that point. So, it, I mean, in a school, in a classroom of 45 students, how much, like you said, how much time do you have? Pretty much you're just babysitting at that point. What can you teach a class of 45 kids or students? There, so it's like I guess everything has these layers. It's like an onion. Everything has these layers. Um, yeah. I mean, first and foremost, we need to put more money into the classroom. I mean,
Exactly.
all this back goes back to we don't pay our students enough. Our schools are overcrowded. Our classrooms are overcrowded, and it's it's like putting an apartment building. There's just more personalities in a small space. So of course you're going to have issues. You're going to have problems. And I think now we're at a head. We're at like this is the we're at the head. Like you said, something has to give. We're
Mhm.
about to implode.
Yes,
Something has to give.
absolutely. So someone in our chat posted something and my computer is like going so slow. So let me pull it up on my laptop
with
really
students,
quick.
when we're working with
Okay,
children,
sorry. Okay. So I wanted to put that on mute. So Belinda Denise said that a former retired principal wrote on my post that Valley High School is not safe. If the district doesn't listen to the staff nor the school admins, we will watch more of what took place last week. Yeah, it's apparent that we're in crisis mode. Like we can't hide from that at all. We're in crisis mode. When we boil down to that, we're in crisis mode. And I do want to say for the record, because people were listening, talking about they met Jaquan that day. I don't condone teachers beating up the kids. I'm just gonna leave it there. But what I am a person who We'll listen to individual, like if Jaquan called Lavapsy, was like, hey, I need your help in this situation. Let's see what's going on. We would sit, talk, have a conversation, and we'll try to figure it out. That's where I'm at. But it is really tough. It is really, really tough. And unless you're in that situation, I
You're
don't do
gonna fire
well.
me. You're gonna
Yeah,
fire me.
I don't
I
do
lose my
well with
job.
racial slurs.
So, General Tracy, Camilla, I might be sleeping on your couch because I'm gonna lose my job. Someone come in my face, call me all types of ends. I'm
Yeah,
gonna lose my job. I'm telling you in advance. Have that guest room ready.
yeah, I don't do well with racial slurs. And when I read the article and I was like, oh, Tracy and I were reading it, I was like, oh, he called him the N-word. I don't do well with that at all. So I can't even imagine. I just don't. So, you know, so I'm just
No,
gonna
I'm
whisper.
not gonna put now. I'm not gonna put my hand on a kid. I'm not saying that, but someone's gonna get cursed out. But if you swing on me, if you threaten my life,
Oh, it's on and
I
popping.
I don't know what's going to happen because you're not about to put your hands on me
Yeah, we
at
just can't
all.
get beat up. We just can't get beat up. Nope, nope, nope. Wow. Y'all, it's 7 o'clock. So, thank you so much. I think somebody just joined in. Miss Valerie, is that you? And then really quick, Miss Simone Davis said, yes, required parenting classes online. The parents should start being held accountable for their children's behavior outbursts at the school. Okay, I think I went through all of the things. Thank you so much for our friends who joined on Facebook Live and were attentive today. Tim, Tamika, Tamika's running for the Board of School Trustees in District C. Thank you, Miss Simone. Thank you, Rudy. And thank you, Miss Belinda Denise. And we look for, oh, you know what? I think I have to cancel next week. So next week I have a meet and greet with the Women's Dems Caucus. So we won't have next week. And I actually think I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks because I have so on the 14th will be canceled. May 14th will be canceled. And then on the 21st, I will be interviewing with the CCSD parents Facebook group. So I think that will be a live conversation. So that will be the live for the day. The CCSD parents group actually is starting now. So I'm going to say my last little spiel before we get off. So the CCSD parents group is on Facebook. There's a group, and I'll see if I can post the link, but they're vetting candidates. And they're starting tonight at 7 with one of the candidates from District E. So I wanted to get on there. So really quick, I just want to let the community know that I have been consistent with attending forums and meet and greets or interviews. I've attended the 100 Black Women meet and greet. I've attended the NAACP Candidates Forum. I've answered the questions to the Review Journal candidate questions. I've also done the New Era interview. I completed the Opportunity 180 candidate questions. I completed the Veterans in Politics Candidates Forum. And then I also, back in August in 2023, I did an interview with Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce. I think I'm forgetting some things, but I just want to let you know that I'm a candidate. When I'm invited, I go to candidate forums. There's many candidates in District E who are not attending forums. They're not giving you an opportunity to hear from them, to hear how they think, to hear about their ideologies. So I want to let you know that I'm leading the front in that place, in that space. If I have not known about an event or was not invited, then I didn't go. But other than that, if I've known, I've made my schedule available to be there. Any last words from anyone?
As usual, thank you. It's great conversation. I love you guys.
Oh, thank you. Same. Thank you everyone so much. So we will have a bye week next week. I'm going to post it up on the Facebook so everybody knows, and I'll keep you informed of what my campaign is doing. Again, I'm Kamilah Bywaters, running for the Board of School Trustees in District E. And let me tell you, the win better be taking down my signs and not no person. That's all I'm going to say. And bye. Because I have a whole lot of signs I need to go put back up. I know that there's one that's probably private property, so they took my signs down. Cool, no problem. I figured that was going to happen. But them other signs, don't be out here being shady. Don't be out here being shady. Okay? But anywho, have a wonderful Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friends.
Good night.
Good night.